Welcome to the Managing Group Update Providers lesson. Solucell has acquired several branch offices and must optimize bandwidth usage when downloading live update content from the SEPM to clients. In this lesson, you learn how to configure group update providers to deliver content to clients located in these branch offices. The lesson objectives are shown in the slide. This is the Introducing Group Update Providers topic. Content is usually downloaded from a Symantec Live Update server to the SEPM. SEP clients retrieve their content from the SEPM. You can conserve bandwidth by offloading processing power from the SEPM to a client or clients that are configured as a group update provider. After a GUP is created, the GUP can download content from the SEPM and distribute the content to the clients. If the GUP becomes unavailable, the clients can fail over to the SEPM, Symantec Live Update, or to another GUP. Note that GUPs can also download security patches for the most recent version of Symantec Endpoint Protection. For more information on downloading the latest security patches and which SEP versions are supported, refer to the Symantec Endpoint Protection 14 installation guide and see Downloading Security Patches to Windows Clients. This slide describes single, multiple, and explicit group update providers. It also describes a GUP supernet, which is explained in more detail later in this lesson. When implementing GUPs, consider SEPM and SEP client versions. Significant changes were made to the GUP architecture and content delta process. GUPs must also have sufficient bandwidth to deliver up to approximately 170 megabytes of content 3 times per day to dark network clients. For standard SEP clients, this number is approximately 99.5 megabytes. The larger the spread of definition revisions used by the clients, the larger the bandwidth usage between the SEPM and the GUP. In addition, GUPs must also have enough physical hard disk space to cache content. A minimum of 1 gigabyte is recommended. Based on the number of configured Windows TCP connections, the GUP can serve a large number of simultaneous downloads. By default, Windows is configured to allow a maximum of 5,000 TCP simultaneous connections. With this configuration, the GUP is capable of serving 40 client connections per second. Depending on the number of clients the GUP serves, Symantec recommends a dedicated server that must be available 24 hours per day, 7 days a week. This is the Adding Group Update Providers topic. Use the Live Update Settings policy to configure GUPs. To create a single group update provider, select the policy and navigate to the Windows Settings, Server Settings section. First, specify a Live Update server so that clients can fail over to a Symantec Live Update server when a GUP is not available. Next, enable Use a Group Update Provider. Note that if you have multiple single GUPs, you must configure a Live Update Settings policy for each GUP. Next, select the Single Group Update Provider IP address or hostname option and type the hostname or IP address. If a GUP client computer uses DHCP, ensure that you have a static lease or type the hostname. If you select Never when a GUP is offline, clients never check in with the SEPM to receive content updates. If you select After a GUP is offline, clients can check in with the SEPM after a period of time that you specify. Time may be specified in minutes, hours, or days. Symantec recommends that you enable Symantec Live Update servers for failover to avoid downloading of full.zips over slow WAN links. For group update provider settings, specify the port on which the GUP connects. The maximum disk cache size allowed for downloading updates is specified in megabytes. The maximum is 2 gigabytes, so that multiple full.zips can be downloaded to a GUP. The GUP automatically deletes content when it is not downloaded by clients in a specified number of days. The maximum number of simultaneous downloads to clients option can conserve the memory and the CPU usage on a GUP computer. You can also control the amount of bandwidth that the GUP uses to download content from the SEPM or to the clients. Note that the settings shown on the slide apply to all group update provider types. You can change the settings based on the type of GUP in use. In cases where WAN usage is limited and you need to reserve bandwidth for business-critical applications, you can control the maximum bandwidth that clients use to download content from a GUP. Note that clients take longer to download content updates. The first bandwidth option specifies how much bandwidth the GUP uses when downloading content from the SEPM. The second bandwidth option specifies how much bandwidth is used when the clients download content from the GUP, for example, so that the local LAN cannot be saturated with content updates. This may happen when full .zips are downloaded to clients after a virus outbreak. This is the adding multiple and explicit GUPs topic. Multiple group update providers are client computers that use a set of rules to elect themselves to serve groups or clients within their local subnet. When client computers meet the rules, the SEPM adds the client computers to its list of GUPs in the global list.xml file that is located in the folder shown on the slide and makes the list available to all Symantec endpoint protection clients. The Symantec endpoint protection clients check the list and choose a GUP that is located in their local subnet. Based on your specifications, if a GUP is not available on the local subnet and explicit GUPs are not specified, the client fails over to the SEPM or Symantec Live Update server. To configure multiple group update providers, on the Group Update Provider page, select Configure Group Update Provider List. To determine which client becomes a GUP, you add a rule and specify the criteria. Criteria for the rule can be IP addresses, host names, Windows client registry keys, or client operating systems. In this example, the client must match one criteria to become a GUP. For example, IP address 10.10.10.5. This slide shows that for a client to become a GUP, the client must match one value in each criteria in at least one of the rule sets. In this example, the client's IP address must be 10.10.20.10 or 10.10.20.11 and must be installed with Windows 8.1 Workstation or Windows 8.1 Workstation x64. Before you create an explicit GUP or GUP SuperNet, you must configure or use clients that are single or multiple GUPs. An explicit GUP is assigned to the subnet. A super subnet enables you to map one GUP to multiple subnets, which makes the configuration faster and simpler to manage. Many small companies use explicit GUPs when only a small number of subnets are in use. This slide shows you how to configure an explicit GUP. First, add the subnet which the GUP serves, and then add the GUP's IP address. A list of configured GUPs and their associated subnets are displayed. Group update providers, GUPs, provide clients with definitions whether the subclient is at the office or on the road. Managed endpoints can use an explicit GUP to retrieve content even when they are roaming outside of their usual network. In 12.1.6 and earlier, to use explicit GUPs, you added one entry for each subnet. The client looked up its subnet mask, determined the IP address range, and then matched the GUP entry based on the subnet address. If an environment had a large volume of subnets, it was difficult to manage the separate entries for all subnets because some companies have thousands of subnets. The GUP SuperNet feature reduces the need to add multiple GUP entries for explicit GUPs in the Live Update settings policy by allowing a custom client subnet mask to be configured. Add the custom network address with matching subnet mask to quickly and easily define one large network containing all the smaller subnets that the client may roam to and still may need to contact the same GUP. With a GUP SuperNet, instead of adding individual entries for hundreds of small networks to point to the same GUP source, you can provide a single network address with customized subnet mask to help the client understand if it belongs to a larger network that contains the smaller network it is on, and define which GUP it should try to contact in that situation. As with other explicit GUP configurations, you can simply list the subnet where existing GUPs can be located, or you can specify a GUP by hostname or IP address, and the port on which the GUP listens. For example, GUP 10.10.10.5 serves the network 10.10.0.0. GUP 10.20.10.5 serves the 10.20.0.0 network, and they both listen on default port 2967. Each checkbox is listed in the order in which clients look for content updates. For a client to retrieve content from the SEPM, a time interval must be defined and exceeded. For clients that fail over to a Symantec Live Update server or an internal Live Update server, a Live Update schedule must be defined. This is the Identifying and Monitoring Group Update Providers topic. The following slides show you how to identify SEP clients that are configured as GUPs. You can identify GUPs and the clients that they serve from the SEPM by monitoring the System Client Activity Log and filtering by GUP as the event source. You can also access Clients, Search Clients page in the search field. Select Group Update Provider, the comparison operator is equal, and the value as true. You can search in any group and choose to include subgroups. In the Client UI, view the system log below Client Management Logs to see which client is serving as a GUP, from which GUP a client is downloading content, and the GUP type. This is the Examining Group Update Provider Health and Status topic. You can use the Symantec Content Distribution Monitor tool to examine Group Update Provider health and status. The Symantec Content Distribution Monitor tool also monitors overall content deployment. The monitor is a lightweight, standalone tool that is designed to run directly on the Symantec Endpoint Protection Manager server, which returns a graphical display of the content distribution status. This slide shows you the high-level steps to download and install the Content Distribution Monitor. For more detailed information on how to download, install, and use the monitor, refer to the KB articles shown on the slide. This slide summarizes the lesson. For more information about the topics discussed in this lesson, refer to the resources listed on the slide and remember to frequently check the Symantec support website.